Hey y'all, in this series of videos, we're going to walk through making some basic visualizations in Tableau. We're going to cover topics such as hiding and unhiding fields from the data pane. We're going to adjust the default properties of different fields, and then we're going to create some basic visualizations and talk about when to use them. We're going to have another section like this coming up, but this week we're going to deal with tables, bar charts, scatter plots, box and whisker plots, and then as we work through those, we're going to talk about using the marks card to adjust the size of marks, colors, to customize our tooltip and deal with different shapes, and we'll finish off by making a basic dashboard. So here we go. To get started, from our main Canvas site, you're going to go into class files, and you're going to download from the data file. You really are. The Zappos Fall 2024 Women's Road Running Shoes. Take this, download it to the file on your computer that you use for data, and then once it's there, you'll save it, and then you'll open Tableau. And when you've got Tableau open, we're going to connect to that file that you just downloaded. So wherever you put that file, you're going to click on Microsoft Excel. You're going to navigate to where that data is, Zappos Fall 24, Women's Road Running Shoes, and you're going to start a new workbook. All right, now that we're here, I want to start with the first thing I want to show you, which is how to hide and unhide fields from the data source pane. When you first come into Tableau, we can see the name and the type of all of our fields, and then we can see the first 100 rows of every field. Sometimes we want to see all these fields. They'll show up on every single sheet. But if you've got a lot of fields or a lot of data, it can slow down the processing speed and make your data bar really crowded and hard to work with. So if you know there are some fields you're not going to use, you can hide them from the beginning, and that'll simplify things later on. So to hide any individual field, you choose the drop-down menu at the top of that field on the data source pane. Then you click Hide. So I want to hide MSRP, I'm going to hide on sale, and I'm going to hide number of reviews. That's great, and now they're gone. Well, what if you want them back? You can always Command Z or back arrow to get yourself out of there, but if you've done a bunch of things, that's going to be hard. So how to get them back? On the settings menu, you click Show Hidden Fields, and then they're back. If you want to add them to your worksheet, you click the drop down and select Unhide, and now it's back. So I don't really want MSRP, so I'm going to hide it. And I don't really want to see these hidden fields, so I'm going to go back and unclick Show Hidden Fields. But that's how you do it, and that's what we're going to do for this worksheet. So popping into sheet 1, we're going to start with our visualizations. And let's just say for a minute that I want to explore the brands of different running shoes that I have. These are data on models of women's road running shoes by these brands. And if I want to figure out what the average price of each of these shoes are, I can take price and drag it into columns. It wants to give me a bar chart, and that's fantastic. But in this case, if I'm looking for an actual value, rather than a bar chart, I want a table. And I can get that table by selecting Tables under Show Me. So, I want to know the price of these shoes, but these don't look like shoe prices at all. And in fact, that's because Tableau, rather than giving me the average, has decided to sum the price of these shoes for each of the brands. Well, Tableau's always going to decide how it's going to aggregate the numbers for each variable. And sometimes it aggregates them in a way that you would like, and sometimes it doesn't. So for all of our variables, we can tell it what we want it to do. And we can actually tell it a lot of things. But from the drop-down menu next to price, we're going to play with this option here that's called default properties. We can set the default property, we can assign a comment, we can assign color, we can decide a number format, an aggregation, or we can total using different methods. And in this case, when we're looking at price, rather than aggregate where it adds them all up, I'm going to select that I want to aggregate by average. And then under price, I'm going to also decide for default properties that I want that number format to be a custom currency with no decimals. I'm going to select OK. It's going to give me a $sign. It updated the number format, but it didn't update the aggregation. So I'm going to take price out again, and then I'm going to just double click price, and then it's back in. Right now they're sorted alphabetically. I could sort them descending or ascending on price. But now let's take a look at some of our other variables, because we're going to have to go through this process for all of these variables. For comfort rating, style rating, and overall rating, it is also summing them. You can see here by where it says sum. If yours doesn't say sum here, sometimes that's the case. Depending on your computer, it might not show sum. But you can tell how it's aggregating by, we'll start with comfort rating. From the drop-down menu, we go to default properties, aggregation. We don't want it to sum them, we want it to be average. Additionally, on comfort rating, on default properties, we're going to go to number format. I want it to be a custom number, and I want it to show only one decimal place. And then it doesn't seem to change anything, so I have to remove comfort rating and add it back in to make sure that it worked. It still is summing it. No, it's good. That looks good. So let's do the same thing for overall rating and style rating. I'm going to just take them out. And now on overall rating, default properties, we're going to go to number format. We want a custom number that has only one decimal place. And then under default properties, I want aggregation by average. Then I'm going to double click overall rating and have it pop back in. Now let's go to style rating. We're going to do the same thing. I don't want it in there right now. I mean, I could, it doesn't matter too much. But from the drop down, we're going to default properties. Number format is going to be a custom number with one decimal place. And then default properties, number form aggregation, it's going to be average. Then pop it back in and it looks good. Now to deal with true to style and true to width, it's going to default probably by summing them up again, which like the others, it doesn't make sense. These are dummy variables, so either it is or isn't true to style, or it is or isn't true to width. And if we think of these again as percentages, if we average them and format them as a percentage, it'll tell us the percentage of people that said the shoe was true to size or the percentage of people that said it was true to width. So let's get these out of here and we'll approach them the same way. So for default properties, for my number format, I'm going to format it as a percentage with no decimals. So percentage, no decimals. And then default properties, aggregation is going to be average. There we go. 81% of people reported that their Hoka shoes were true to width. True to size, pardon me. True to width, we're going to do the same thing. Default properties, number format, we're going to go to percentage, no decimals. True to width, default properties, aggregation, average. Click true to width, and then there it is. So here we've got this number, these numbers basically in a table. And that's fine. This is a table of differences by brand. And this is great. Tables are fantastic if what you want is to get an exact value. Like if we want to know the exact average price, but they're not great at allowing us to see patterns or do rankings or understand how brands compare. So I'm going to take, I'm not also a fan of how this is ordered. So I want price on top. I'm going to drag price on the top. You can't let go of the pill until you see that orange triangle to the left. Then I'm going to go overall rating. Then I want comfort, style, true to size, and true to width. So this table is great if I want to see the exact value of any variable for a given brand. It's not going to be great at quickly noticing differences. Like I've got them sorted by price. So because that's ascending or descending, my eye can quickly sort of understand who's the highest and lowest, but I can't quickly understand that there are any patterns or if there are. So I want to change this and combine this table with bar charts. To do that, I'm going to duplicate this tab. And now, under Show Me, I'm going to select horizontal bars. It puts horizontal bars in. It does the rude thing of reordering all our variables, so I'm going to have to put them back the way I want them. Price, again, rating for the orange triangle before you let go. Price, overall, comfort, style, true to size, true to width. So now we're getting a little bit better. The size will help our mind identify who has higher levels of a variable and who has lower levels of the variable. But we can do better. Before I move on, I'm going to choose the label button, the show mark labels. I'm choosing it up here. And now we can see the label of each of these marks. So ultra running, now we can see how they rank. It's not the highest price shoe, and on average they're 98. We can see, Adidas running, we can see the exact number. Okay, now we're getting better. I want to draw your attention to this marks card. If I can see all, I can focus, and now if I'm clicking here on the price, anything that I change in here will affect only price. If I click overall, anything I check in here will affect only this overall rating. So what I want to do is add some color. If I want to add color, I just need to take a variable and drag it into the color bar in the marks card. But because I'm showing so many different types of values here, price, overall rating, comfort rating, each one of these has its own tab in the marks bar. So I've got to be careful, or the marks card, I've got to be careful which one I'm selecting. So I'd like, in addition to these having size, the length being larger for more expensive shoes and smaller for less expensive shoes, I'd like color to be in there too. So if I select the average price tab under the marks card, and that's for price, and I bring price into color, now I can see right away that the longer bars get a darker color, the shorter bars get a lighter color, and now there's color in addition to size, and it really makes it pop which ones are more expensive and which ones are least expensive. I don't need this legend, so I'm going to hide this card. And suddenly, don't these all look so gray and boring? Well, we're going to do the same thing to add some color everywhere. I'll click on the overall rating tab, then I will drag overall rating into color. Wow, and then that pops too. Again, I don't need that legend. So now while I'm looking, if I sort by price, high to low, I notice as I'm sorting from high to low, my eye is immediately drawn to these darker colors down lower here, like for Skechers, and I can, without even thinking about it, realize that some of the highest overall rating brands with highest overall ratings are not going to be the ones that also have the highest price. If I go into comfort rating and I add a color pop to comfort, the same thing happens, and I already can see very clearly that Skechers has highest both overall and comfort, and it quickly becomes obvious that they're doing that at a lower price point, and it becomes so much clearer by adding color than it was before we had the color. So in the Style tab under the Marks card, I'm going to put the style rating in color. Then in the True to Size tab, I'm going to put True to Size into color. And then in the True to Width tab, I'm going to drag the True to Width into color. We don't need any of these cards. Let's hide them. And now we have a pretty good kind of more than a table plus column charts. And now this gives us a summary of differences by brand. I'm going to change this title because it's no longer just a table, but summary of differences by brand. I'm going to click OK. And this is going to be Table Plus. All right, that's our first viz of the week, and we've done actually quite a lot of things. We've looked at hiding and making fields visible. We've looked at changing the default properties of different fields. We've made a table. We've changed that table into bar charts. We've added labels, and then we've added color, and we've ended up with a summary of differences by brand where we can quickly see differences by price, and it will allow us better to compare how the different brands fare. And what I see right away is that at a low price point, Skechers has done really well in its ratings for all of the different rating and fit variables. So it looks like they did a really great job, whereas Hoka up here in our most expensive shoe, they haven't done nearly as well with their overall rating, comfort rating, style rating, and their True to Width rating. So it's quick to see. All right, happy calculating, and I'll see you in the next video.